This weekend we got the UF motherfucking C. UFC 314. We're back. Finally, good pay-per-view. I don't have to watch it from the Shadow Realm anymore. I can feel good purchasing this pay-per-view fight. So, let's talk about it.
Oh, it's good to be back.
All right, so first on the prelims, we have Nora Cornell. I thought that was Cornhole at first. Versus Haley Cohen. I will go with the United States lady on this one, Haley. Next up, we have Tresean Gore, Black Darren Till, let's go, versus Marco Tulio. I will go with Tresean. I don't know what his record is. I think he's kind of been up and down since Ultimate Fighter, but I like him, so I'm going for him. Next, we have China. I don't know how to say that name, so I'm going to say China. We have 124% tariff on this guy, so he's going to lose because Mitch is going to bring it home for the United States. So I'm going Mitch Raposo. After that, we have Cetricas Dumas and Michael Poland. I don't know his last name, so I'm not going to even try to say it. Michal. Again, United States. Cedriquez. Let's go. That's the early prelims. All right, next up, entering into the prelims, we have Darren Elkins versus Julian Erosa. I believe Julian Erosa is another Ultimate Fighter alumni. This guy probably is too at some point. But I will go with Julian Erosa. He is the favorite. Usually I like to go for the underdogs, but I'm going to go with Julian Erosa. Next up, Jim Miller, Chase Hooper. Let's go. I love both these guys. And wow. Wasn't expecting this fight to be on the card, and be honest with you. Didn't hear about it, so I didn't even bother thinking about it. I like, as I said before, going for the underdogs. I like Chase Hooper, though. So this is very difficult. I truly, genuinely do not care who wins this fight, but Jim Miller's that fucking man, dude. So I'm going to go with Jim Miller on this one. After that, we have Yan Xiaonan and Verna Jandrioba. That is actually going to be a really good fight. I'm going to go Verna on this one. The odds are very close, and Yan, when she fought that title fight against Weili Zhang, she was out, bro. She didn't even, she was out in that first round, but then she came back and she did well and went all 5 rounds. But I do think had they caught that she was actually out, she would have lost that fight and then gone down in the rankings anyways. So I'm going to go Verna on this one. I call Verna. Verna is my friend Junie Cortez from the Spy Kids. And after that, we got Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson. Ooh, that's going to be another good fight. This is a stacked card, you guys. I'm going to go with Ige. Man, that's going to be a good one. Starting off the main card, you got Dominic Reyes versus Nikita Krylov. Reyes has been real down, and then he finally won. I think he's won 2 now in a row. So let's get these old heads. Let's get them winning, man. Let's keep them winning. I like seeing them around because I grew up with them. So let's do that. If Nikita wins, I won't be surprised, but I will go Dominic Reyes on this. After that, we have Bryce Mitchell, the mustache man himself reincarnated, the flat earther, the Demon Slayer. That should be his new nickname. Bryce the Demon Slayer Mitchell, because that's who he is. Against Gene Silva. Man, Gene Silva's the favorite. This guy's a beast. He's going to go far. I do think he has a very high chance of winning this fight. I think Bryce Mitchell has a little bit too much going on in his head right now, but I will still go for Bryce Mitchell. I will always go for the American most of the time, and I like a guy that's been fucking put down so low by everybody around him. Not everybody around him, but you know what I mean. And they rise above those ashes in that fire, and then he's Bryce the Demon Slayer Mitchell, dude. I got his new nickname for him. Bryce, when you see this and you come out to that nickname, you're welcome for the idea. Okay, next up, we have Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. So Patricio Pitbull, another old head, but has got a lot of miles in the game, knows what he's doing against a young buck. This guy, he was champion at one point, right? Or interim champion, whatever. How do they not even have a picture of Patricio Pitbull yet? And it was such a big announcement for him to come to UFC. Either way, Yair Rodriguez, he is a funky man. He fights weird, and I don't think Patricio Pitbull is ready for that. I think he's just used to very classic matchups, and Yair is not a classic athlete. He's just very weird, and that's in the most positive way possible. So I'm going to go with Yair on this by knockout. Next up, we have Michael Chandler and Paddy Pimblett. Oh, I hate to do this, especially because I just said I always go for the Americans when I went with Bryce Mitchell. Chandler, I do like you. I didn't like it when you first came into UFC, but you earned my respect. Not that you necessarily had to in the first place. You've done far more in fighting than I ever will. But Paddy Pimblett, he's just on the rise, man. He's about to enter into his prime. Chandler spent 2 of his best years waiting on the sidelines, and it's stayed with him, man. So luckily he's been more active, I guess, when you would say from like the Oliveira fight to now this fight. But it's Paddy, man. Paddy's going to take it. It's probably going to go to decision. I'll give it that. But hey, Paddy hasn't been knocked out, and Chandler's got knockout power. So if he knocks out Paddy, I'll be happy as well. So I just want a good fight, but I will sadly have to go with Paddy on this one. Next up in the main event, my man Volk, Ozzy versus Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez is a stud. I used to make fun of him with my friends because of his stupid haircut. But hey, man, stupid haircut somehow equals great fighter. Paddy's got a stupid haircut too, and he's a great fighter. So Alex had a stupid haircut and then he went bald. So either way, here's the thing with Volk. He still hasn't given me a reason to doubt him at 145. He had 2 back-to-back losses at 155. One of the losses, there's an argument that he won. Second one, he got kicked in the head, knocked out. That sucked, but it was a short notice fight. He didn't take it seriously. He admitted that himself. And we all kind of like knew that going in. There's just something about that fight that didn't seem right. Like, he had to take true preparation to do what he did in that first fight against Islam. And you just can't have that kind of preparation on a like 2-week notice or whatever it was. So, with that, afterwards, he fights Ilya and he gets knocked out. But it wasn't from the head, it was from the chin. So, 2 different knockouts, 2 different weight classes, and he was up in the scorecards against Ilya. So, had he not gotten caught, hey man, people get caught. So, it happens. Now, I know age is against him. He might not be the same guy because he's been knocked out 2 different ways, both pretty heavy times. I understand that. However, I like people that defy the odds. So I'm going to go with Volkanovski. Diego Lopez, if he wins this fight, I'm going to have absolute respect for him. I think he will be a great champion, and I think he will be an active champion, much like how Volk was. I would just like to see Volk win one more. So with that, again, Alexander Volkanovski. But at the end of the day, as long as it's a good fight, I don't care. No stupid doctor stoppages. No fucking eye pokes. None of this bullshit. Let's just have a good fight. So that is UFC 314. Not watching it from the Shadow Realm. I can't wait. I'm excited. This is like the first time I'm going to be with my boys for like I think 3 months. I've been watching most of these UFCs by myself. So, oh man, I'm very excited for this card. Now with that, I've been hearing a lot of talk about how, like this card's stacked, but it's not stacked of what it used to be. There's never going to be anything like there was a couple years ago, which I agree. I think in the COVID times, before all these new athletes came in, there truly was nothing like it because all we had was now the old heads that are about to retire just fucking pumping out fights. I agree. But at the same time, I think that we also know who these fighters from before when the cards were stacked have become. So we look back on those old cards being like, damn, that shit was stacked. Like at the time, it was probably stacked like this one. But for example, say Mitch Raposo goes on to be champion for 3 years. Then we're going to look back at this fight and be like, oh my God, they had him on the early prelims. That card was stacked. So it's the way this stacked thing is working. I don't know if I agree with it. I haven't really, I guess, adapted to it in a sense enough. But what I will say is that, like, so for example, let's look at this. Let's go to UFC 199 fight card. Now, this fight card was better than UFC 200. So, and this was supposed to be Rockhold and Weidman 2. That's what it was supposed to be. Weidman got hurt, had to back out. So, let's go back and look at this fight card. On the early prelims, you had Kevin Casey. I mean, he's a decent known name. Enrique De Silva, I don't really know him. Sean Strickland. You had Sean Strickland on the early prelims in UFC 199. So, a lot of people would think, oh my God, Sean Strickland, all the way back then in 2016, this card is stacked like none other. Let's see who's in the prelims. In the prelims, we had Alexander Caceres and Cole Miller. That was a good fight too, and he's a good fighter. I don't think he's around anymore. I haven't seen him fight since I think 2022. But either way, Jessica Penne and Jessica Andrade, both great fighters. Beneil Dariush. Dariush was literally about to fight a couple last pay-per-view? Then you had Brian Ortega and Clay Guida on the prelims. So you look at this card, and oh my God, this is stacked, right? Okay, this is stacked. I'm gonna get to my point in a minute. Main card, let's look at it. Dustin Poirier and Bobby Green. Dan Henderson, Hector Lombard. That knockout was fucking sick, by the way. Max Holloway, Ricardo Llamas. Dominic Cruz, Uriah Faber. Fun fight. Luke Rockhold, Michael Bisping. That knockout was awesome too. Okay, so you look at this card, especially in particular this this main card. Yes, it's stacked, but look where these guys have come in the last 10 years. So we're thinking of these fighters, I mean, except for obviously Dan Henderson, who's been retired forever. We're thinking of these fighters, how they are now versus where they were then. So not that they weren't names or known or great as they still are today. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the UFC. But we look back at this card like, oh my God, like we know what these guys have become. Like this fucking card's so stacked. At the time, this was a stacked card, yes. But you wouldn't look at the early prelims, see Sean Strickland's name and Kevin Casey's name and say, oh my God, this is stacked from top to bottom. You wouldn't go back and see Dariush from 10 years ago, who didn't even pop off until about 2020, 2021. Or Alex Caceres or Brian Ortega. He was very new in the game at that time in 2016. And be like, oh my God, this card's stacked top to bottom. You'd say, hey, this is a great card. So my point is that in going back to this card now, this 314, this is a stacked card. Like top to bottom, it is relatively stacked. But a lot of these athletes, we don't know where they're going to go. This Haley Cowan chick, she might go on to become champion. Like I said earlier with Mitch Raposo, he might go on to become champion. And then we look back at this card and be like, oh my God, that was so stacked. Like we're thinking too much about the past and where those fighters have come from that point. So, I mean, the fact that Dustin Poirier has been around as long as he has and has kept up as long as he has is fucking amazing. And it doesn't change the fact that it was a stacked card back then. But we see the Dustin now who's fought for the title 3-4 times. We're like, oh my God, this card's so much more stacked than any other card ever. In a sense, you're not wrong. But we can't, again, I keep repeating myself, you can't think of the fighters now as the fighters then because they aren't who they are now then, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm getting my words twisted. But do you see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, unless this pay-per-view sucks and the fights just are not good and the fighters aren't on their A game, that's fine. That's different. But as far as this goes, this is a stacked pay-per-view. You got Jim Miller, the fool's been around since the fucking 90s, against Chase Hooper, who wasn't even alive in the 90s. You got Dan Ige, the guy that takes fights on 2-hour notice. You got Bryce Mitchell, who likes flat Earth and he likes Hitler and he likes fighting demons and all this shit and beating them up. You know, hey, this guy's got one of two twisters in the UFC. Gotta put some respect on his name, especially for Demon Slayer. I really hope he sees this. And also, I'm joking about the whole like Hitler thing. I know, I actually watched the podcast. I know what he meant when he said it. Just people are retards. You got Yair Rodriguez, the guy that was losing to Korean Zombie, and just all of a sudden brought out this frickin' elbow that doesn't even make sense of how his arms can move that way. Knocks the guy out. Michael Chandler, the guy's been around mainly in the Bellator for a while, but still, he's a well-known guy. He's known as the guy that waited 2 years for McGregor and didn't get him. And then you got Volk, the greatest champion at 145 ever, except for maybe Jose Aldo, but still. So this is a stacked card, literally from top to bottom. And when we go back in 5, 6, 7 years to the early prelims, and these guys and girls are potentially much higher than they are now, we're going to go back and be like, oh my God, that was one of the greatest cards of all time. UFC 199 is one of the greatest cards of all time. It was much better than UFC 200 by far. I was there live, so it just made that impact even greater. But still, I think this is going to be one of those scenarios where we're going to look back on it to 9 years from now. It's been 9 years since the 199. We're going to look back on it 9 years from now and be like, oh my God, that card was so stacked. Why don't they make them like that anymore? And we're going to go through the same cycle again. So hopefully I made that easy to understand and digest. If you watched it, thank you for making it this far in the video. Let me know who you think is going to win, whether you agree or disagree with my thoughts and predictions. And I'll see you guys on Monday for MILF Monday. We are back, baby.
Oh, it's good to be back.